We're back with SMNI's Business and Politics Commissioner, Chairman. Let's talk about the future, because even as you are grappling with this very fluid situation, your part of your attention must be on the future, because it's 2025 is going to be another complicated elections. I remember hearing from you from the last elections, from one of your press conferences, that the vote counting machines, or the VCMs, have reached their legally, I suppose, defined lifespan.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, we may have to get either new machines or maybe look at a new electoral system in 2025, a gargantuan task,
yes,
which probably requires years in planning. Can you talk about that? I know it seems like 2025 is a long way off, but really with the amount of work that you need to do, it's really a process, yes, that you probably already started, right?
Yes, Sir Klink, historically, the 2022 election is a class of its own.
Right.
It's the election with of course, it's the cleanest, the fastest election so far that we have had in this country for the last several years, and this is also the best election that we had in the under the automated system. Right. And therefore, because of this pressure of the best election so far of the 2022 election, the pressure is on when it comes to the conduct of the 2025
You've
election.
set the bar high.
If we cannot be able to at least surpass,
right,
at least be able to level the quality of our performance in the 2022 election. So, what are we going to do with the machines? These are the same machines that deliver us the best election results in 2022. Okay. But unfortunately, a machine like that, a vote counting machine, can only be used for at least 10,000 ballots. Right. Although as of today, it had not yet consumed 10,000 ballots. But just the same, look at what happened in 2022. There were several machines that backed down. We can honestly say it's only about 1,200 machines. And of course, the SD cards will also have to be replaced. But we cannot take that risk. Okay. I, for one, I have been saying, I'm not an expert, I'm not an IT expert, I have been saying it's high time that we retire these machines.
Okay.
And of course, the answer to the question as to whether we can really retire the machine will depend on our Congress, whether they can be willing to give us the budget to either procure or lease new machines. The best alternative, Sir Klink, is really to lease machines, not procure.
Okay.
Para din pong cell phone. If you're going to purchase an iPhone 12 or iPhone 13 today, tapos tomorrow will be iPhone 14, luma na yung iPhone 13. Right. When unlike when you are leasing the machine, we will have no problem with that when it comes to warehousing, okay, maintenance. Okay. We can always secure new machines, not a machine that is reconditioned or old machine. So the better option really for the COMELEC is to lease new machines. What to do with the 90,000 machines that we have right now? Well, we can always donate that to the DepEd. We can always donate that to the PRC. Okay. Or we can use the machine on a standby basis in the case the new machines will back down, or
and you have parts too.
We have parts likewise to use. So perhaps it's really proper, high time that by 2025 we'll be using new machines. And you'll be asking me the question, under the same company? Will the same kind of company be? I cannot answer that.
Right, that has to be deliberated.
And at the same time, they will have to undergo the so-called procurement process. Right. You see, in the government, they will have to undergo that process, and therefore, it's premature at this point.
Right. As you were saying, with the success of the last national elections, I suppose there's, as you said, there's pressure on COMELEC to live up to that high standard, right? But is there any discussion on possibly looking into other types of systems? I know in the past they've talked about a hybrid process, and I think even one of your commissioners was among those trying to promote manual voting in the precinct, but automated canvassing.
Yes, sir.
Does that have any possibility, or have you had time to discuss it, maybe formally, informally, among the commissioners?
I, for one, Sir Klink, is very supportive of a hybrid system of election.
Okay.
Because you see, in the Philippines, we always adopt that not principle, but we always adopt that attitude of to see is to believe.
Right.
Where even if you have the receipts, but you want to see whether the ballots, as found inside the ballot boxes, were really counted by the machine. So perhaps the only way is to combine the two systems.
So which case you probably need a different kind of machine, right? For the canvassing.
Yes, sir. You see, what is needed is there should be the presence of automation is for purposes of transmission. For purposes of counting, the teachers will be manually count, and then perhaps the ballots will be inserted into the machine, and then the machines will count. Whether the count of the machine and the count of the teachers will tally, then that's the time that you transmit electronically. Yan po yung problem natin lagi. It's very slow in a manual election to bring the results from the precinct to the canvassing in the municipality or in the city hall. So that is being solved by the automation of the election.
Right.
But however, combining the machine is more, and combining the two systems, Sir Klink, is more costly than fully automating the same. Based on our initial estimate, if you're going to computerize, to adopt a hybrid system of election, you'll be needing at least 42 billion pesos. But if you're going to adopt a purely automated election, you'll be needing at least 30 to 32 billion pesos only. So, well, during the last 2022 election, we spent more or less 26 billion pesos. It's not only about the machines. We have to clarify to our people, to the public. It's not only the machines that we are renting or we are purchasing or we are procuring, but likewise the other components of the automated election system. For example, the transmission, the laptops, the consolidation system, and such other items pertaining to the entire system by itself.
Wow. Is there, I'm just wondering, is there disposal value assigned to the old VCMs that you used in 2022? It's fully depreciated, right?
Yes.
And legally speaking, you cannot use it again. But have you had some other country talk to you, say, we'll buy them? Or maybe the supplier will say, we'll buy them back and resell them?
Nobody at this point, Sir Klink, but we're going to consult with the Commission audit on how to properly dispose of this.
Right, because you're constrained by law on how to dispose.
You know, in government, even if a table of with no value anymore cannot just be disposed just like that.
Right.
We have to properly observe the certain process and procedure. So, but then we will really push, but it will depend really on the financial capacity of our government to purchase or lease new machine.
Right.
In the final analysis, the answer will always be, do we have the money to support a new system or to lease the new machines?
What is the process? You know, COMELEC is a constitutional body. Does it have the right to decide on its own what is the best election system, whether it's fully automated, hybrid, or something else? Or what does the law say? Do you have to have congressional approval for something like that? I know they have oversight, but on the decision, I guess you deliberate, right? And you.
Yes.
What is the process? Do you recommend to Congress, or they impose on you? This is.
Most of the time we recommend to Congress.
Okay.
But in some other time, Congress will have its own version, and they will consult the Commission during the hearings. And but of course, this is always a collaborative process between Congress and the Commission on Election. We always give our advice, our opinions, and then in the final analysis, they will be passing the proposed bill. When it comes to the budget circling, of course, we will be making the proposal. It will have to pass to the DBM, and then the DBM will have to go to the President's budget will have to go to Congress. So, meaning to say, Sir Klink, if we are to prepare for the 2025 elections, by next year, the budget of COMELEC should also always already contain a certain portion of the budget intended for the 2025 election. And then for 2024, then you will have to propose a budget for the 2025 election. So for 2 years, the budget of the Commission election should already contain what is to be spent for the 2025 elections.
Wow, and I guess this is made even more complicated if you have the barangay and SK elections to conduct in 2023.
We have to,
on top of this preparation that you're
yes, sir,
talking about.
we really have to come into a realization.
Right.
Our people should also come to a realization. And this is not a, I'm just trying to say, sometimes we really have to pay so much in order to preserve and ensure the maturity of our democracy. Conducting the election, barangay and SK, for over a regular election, 8.5 to 9, up to 10 billion pesos. Conducting an election in an automated national local election, you'll be spending 26 to 30 billion pesos. And yet, almost every year, we will have an election. And yet, that is what democracy is all about. The right of the people to change or retain their own leaders.
Wow. But did you say, did I hear correctly, that you're at least open to the idea of maybe refining? I mean, I guess it would only make sense, right, that you guys are always looking to improve the system. And then when we talk about hybrid, I think that's the theme of that discussion, because we're seeing in other countries, I think Germany among them, that we're seeing more in the name of transparency that they're changing these systems.
A lot of countries who have automated their election had been going back to manual voting because the people had been demanding, we want to know our votes.
Right.
We want to know whether our votes are being counted. Even if you use the machine, that is only for expediency purposes,
right,
for speed of the counting or speed of the transmission. But we want our votes counted. We wanted to find out whether the leaders that we have voted were properly counted, the votes were properly counted. So in the final analysis, the best solution maybe really is a combination of the two systems. The hybrid one, and it is a little costly. At the same time, it will consume a lot of additional time. Instead of you 7 o'clock, with 7 o'clock you're already transmitting the results, you'll be at least waiting for at least 9 to 9:30 before you can have the results in the precinct.
I can't imagine how you still sleep, Chairman, because you're waiting for word from the Supreme Court and you're already looking at massive preparations for 2025. We'll be right back with COMELEC Chair George Garcia.